Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Please take your seats.
Good afternoon. I'm Grace Galucci, Executive Director and CEO of the Northeast Ohio Areawide Coordinating Agency, affectionately known as NOACA. Welcome to NOACA's 2024 annual meeting and luncheon. We're pleased you could join us today to hear about the great things we're doing as an agency. And thank you very much for coming. We know you could be in many places. We're glad you're here with us. We have a full and informative program for you today that speaks to our theme, the power of connections, the making of a region, and our panel discussion on how professional sports positively impacts regional cohesion and influences local economic outcomes in our communities. But before we begin, I want to recognize some very important people. First, I want to recognize and thank the NOACA Board of Directors for their dedicated service. Thank you for your vision and leadership, which allows us to be here today to celebrate our accomplishments. Please stand up or wave so we can all see you. They're very shy. I'm ever grateful to have such a group of hardworking elected and public officials who really care about making their communities and our region a better place. I believe we are stronger when we work together, and this board exemplifies the best of the best. On a personal note, I want to thank our board president, Montville Township trustee Jeff Brandon, as well as the entire executive committee for their support, direction, and leadership in moving the agency forward. Next, I'd like to recognize the other elected officials in the room here with us today, as well as members of NOACA's subcommittees and councils who spend countless hours and unbounded energy to help shape our agenda and our work. We also thank you for your dedication to NOACA and this community. Again, stand up or wave. Thank you. I'd like to thank NOACA staff who demonstrate a passion for planning for our region. Your commitment and professionalism are nothing but exceptional every day, every week, and every year, especially this last one. I am humbled and honored to work with you. It is no exaggeration when I say that I have the best colleagues of all. Finally, I want to recognize and thank, actually we should give a round of applause to the NOACA staff. And if you're, stand up or wave. Okay. And finally, I want to thank and recognize our many sponsors who help make this day possible. We celebrate and thank you for your generous support. Let's give our sponsors a big hand. The annual meeting is a time to learn about the important work that we do at NOACA. To give you a better idea of our mission and recent accomplishments, we produced a report for this meeting, Power of Connection, the Making of a Region, which highlights our efforts and work in fiscal year 2024. As you've probably already discovered, a copy of it is at your seat. Some of you may have noticed something else on the tables or the seats that is branded NOACA but makes you think of sports. What I'm talking about are the packs of trading cards complete with bubble gum. Each trading card provides you with a glimpse of NOACA history. But why trading cards? Well, you'll see at the halftime show. Oops, I think I might have let that out. You will see at halftime how sports and NOACA fit together. You know, I am a football mom. My son played college football in the Big Ten at Purdue and in the Pac-12 at USC. All right. And what I noticed and helped me think about this theme when President Brandon mentioned the idea to me is my husband and I traveled to over 80 games in 18 states. And each time we went to a place, the place had a sense of place and purpose. The sports team made that community, that region, have this identity. You know, we all know of Buckeye Nation. Well, there's communities like that all over the country. And so really, sports, even beginning at the high school level and college level, has an impact on regional cohesion, giving regions identity, and on economic development. So we have prepared an exciting program for you, and again, I'm so happy you're here with us today. We are proud of all we do, but more importantly, all that you do with us. Now, it's my great privilege to introduce Jeff Brandon, Montville Township trustee, and this year's NOACA president. President Brandon has served as a trustee for Montville Township in Medina County since 2006, and as a member of NOACA's board of directors since 2018. Trustee Brandon has also served on NOACA's executive, governance, external affairs, and policy committee, as well as on the air quality and equity subcommittees. He's a very busy president. He's also president of the Medina County Township Association, as well as chairman of the Medina County Planning Commission. Trustee Brandon has been a licensed real estate agent since 2002 and specializes in real estate investing, including subsidized housing with Akron Metropolitan Housing Authority. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Ohio University. He and his wife and their 3 sons live in Montville Township. President Brandon has shown a tremendous dedication as our board president, and we are thrilled to have him leading us at NOACA. As board president, Trustee Brandon has provided a steady hand in helping to maintain an intentional focus for NOACA on regional cohesion and economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, Trustee Brandon.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Grace. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the NOACA 2024 annual meeting and luncheon. I am thrilled to see the wonderful turnout today. This room is truly representative of the geographic and economic diversity of our region. I am glad to have the opportunity for us to meet and to take stock and to look forward. This past year has presented some very important highlights and substantial success stories for NOACA that are outlined in our 2024 annual report. I am proud to be associated with this organization and with everyone who has been a part of our planning, implementation, and outcome efforts. For me, it has indeed been an honor and privilege to serve as the current board president of NOACA in the great counties of Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake, Lorain, and Medina that we serve. I would like to extend my gratitude to the board of directors who are here today. It is a pleasure serving with you, and I look forward to our continued success as decision makers, influencers, and collaborators on behalf of NOACA. I now have the pleasure of introducing the Honorable Chris Ronayne, Cuyahoga County Executive, who will offer welcome remarks. Executive Ronayne began his career in public service with the County Planning Commission, where he developed community reinvestment plans, and in Cuyahoga County government, where he launched the Division of Employer Resources. In 2001, Executive Renane became Planning Director for the City of Cleveland, where he led initiatives such as the Cleveland Lakefront Plan and the Euclid Corridor. Later, Executive Renane served for 16 years as the president of University Circle, Inc., a nonprofit community service corporation. Chris Renane is the third Cuyahoga County executive and took office on January 1st, 2023. His vision is for a healthy Cuyahoga County with safe communities, good jobs, a fair justice system, and excellent services. He also serves as first vice president of NOACA Board of Directors, and as such, I work alongside him to further the goals and objectives of our agency. Please give a warm welcome to Cuyahoga County Executive Chris Renane. There you are. Very good. All right.
Thank you, Jeff. And good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing out here at the great Huntington Convention Center? I'm going to pick up where Jeff left off, and I usually do this geographic survey. I welcome a lot of groups to our facilities here in Cuyahoga County, our tourists from around the world, but I want to talk to our regional team here. Give me a hand if you're from Geauga County out here today. All right, give it up for our Geauga County reps. How about Lake County? All right, look at Lake County in the house. Lorain County, all right. All right, Lorain County. Medina County, all right. Welcome. In Cuyahoga County. They had an easier commute, but good to be with you, colleagues from Cuyahoga County. I just want to say a few things. One, it is great, and I appreciate CEO Grace Gallucci's decision to have this in this building today. It's a chance for us to showcase all we do here. I want to say to Mayor Sellers, you've chaired the Convention Facilities Board. Thank you for all you've done. And to my predecessor, Armin Budish, who helped make some of this happen, thank you, who's out here as well today. I want to say it is always a privilege to welcome folks from all over the world. And I want to tell you the most resounding thing we hear, and I'm just paraphrasing this massive refrain that we hear from people around the world visiting Cleveland and the greater Cleveland and NOACA region area, is always who knew? Who knew about this place, this amazing place? You're all a part of catalyzing that. You know, you're all a part of the reason for that. And we've had an incredible run this past year in this convention center and in the surrounds. One, we couldn't have done ourselves without Mother Nature, but we had the greatest place to watch the solar eclipse on the planet, right? We brought in scores of people. There was an article just recently written about the economics on that, and I got to talk to Administrator of NASA, Bill Nelson, and asked him about, was this the place to be? And he said there was no other place to be. So we'd rather be lucky on that one, right? And we got lucky on that one. But after that, by our own doing, and great credit to the Sports Commission, which I'm glad we're going to talk about sports connections today, and also Destination Cleveland, you guys rock. They, in just no particular order, but they rolled out women's NCAA Final Four right after the eclipse. They rolled out the Pan Am Masters Games, where we had people from 5 different continents here. And most recently, they rolled out a convention that maybe we don't all know about, but we hurried up to get this convention facility done on time and on budget. It's called the American Society of Association Executives, ASAE. They brought 5,000 people from around North America to this place. Yeah, give the team, all of you, a round of applause. I get the chance to meet delegates from all of those events, and I keep coming back to the same refrain. The people who haven't been here before say, who knew? Who knew what a great place this is? So obviously we've got to work on messaging out to the world. Yes, come know about us. It's worth it. But what I want to say to you as it relates to this visitor infrastructure is that you are the infrastructure behind the visitor infrastructure. I was with our general manager of RTA yesterday, India Terry, and we were talking about how critical infrastructure is to the kinds of events we're talking about. This very convention center is a regional asset for all of you. We get from all 5 counties residents, visitors here all the time for regional-based conventions. But to the world, it's what we do through NOACA that actually creates the infrastructure and sets the table. From roads, from bridges, from sewers to transit systems that make it happen. We've got one very big event we're pitching for. I think you might have read about it, but if you haven't, it's the Special Olympics, which is very special to us if we can get it. We're up against Nashville. We've been here before as we brought in the RNC years ago in 2016. We know how to put on conventions, and we hope we get it. That particular convention or that particular sports event would bring in upwards of $70 million in net economic impact and would bring in 100,000 people from all 50 states, their coaches, media, and athletes, and parents and family. That's exciting. It doesn't happen without the work you do. If we can't transit people to a place, if we can't get them to a place, if we don't have a place like this, that's the work you do. And I want to say, Grace and Jeff, thank the board and the NOACA staff, and I double down on that. But I want to thank all of you. You know, when you think about projects, we have a little joke about how it takes us a while to get through a NOACA agenda in the morning. Today was a record because we had to get to lunch with you. But it takes us a minute to get through it. But there's a reason why. The project volume is intense. But it starts with citizens, with planners, with council members, with mayors, with legislators, with county commissioners, with township trustees, people who bring the ideas to the NOACA table. So I want to say to all of you, thank you for what you do and the partnership. We have great partners with our state. We have great partners with the federal government. We have a great partnership with each other. And again, it's that citizen idea. I'll just use one example because I formerly chaired the organization, the Towpath Trail. It goes through 4 counties. It was started by a single individual who needed all of us to get it done. And NOACA substantially contributed to that wonderful trail that follows the contours of the river through the many counties it goes through. But thank you for your innovation, for your ideas and your doggedness to get our projects to a place where we can vote on them at the NOACA board and send monies to them. It is this whole community partnership that makes the kind of visitor infrastructure, but everyday resident infrastructure and employment infrastructure that we need. So hats off to you, the people who do the work. All of you, I'm looking out of these tables, who get us to where we are. It's our time to shine, Northeast Ohio, and thanks for being here today at the Huntington Convention Center.
Thank you, Executive Renane, for your welcoming remarks. We would also like to thank the county for its generosity in hosting us in this beautiful world-class facility. Coming back to the stage is Grace Gallucci, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of NOACA, to discuss our theme today, Power of Connection, the Making of a Region. Please welcome again, Grace Gallucci.
Thank you, Executive Ronayne, for your welcoming remarks. They were right on target. We would also like to thank the county again for hosting us in this beautiful world-class facility, and furthermore, thank you for all of the servers who are doing the work today to make sure we are all well fed. At this time, recognizing Trustee Brandon and Executive Ronayne for their regional approach to leadership, which makes all of us better partners. I welcome you to enjoy your lunch and the company of those at your table. We will resume the program shortly. Yes, lunch.
What is NOACA? A group of people working tirelessly to guide the development planning of multi-transportation systems and manage the environmental impact of capital investments over a 5-county region of Northeast Ohio. We cooperatively develop and implement plans to ensure travel throughout our region is safe, cost-effective, and environmentally sound through programs designed to positively impact air, water, and quality of life. We're champions of sustainability as we help create a blueprint for the future of Northeast Ohio.
Good afternoon again. Our theme today, The Power of Connection, the Making of a Region, speaks to important regional planning that builds the cohesiveness of a region, connecting our assets and connecting us to each other. Let me be clear. When speaking of the power of connection, the making of a region, I'm not referring to a TV show about power brokers. I'm talking about the elements that have helped build the region to get to where we are now and to tell the story from where we've come, and connections that can help guide us as we continue moving forward. After all, coordinating is our middle name. First on the agenda, a public service announcement about a very important NOACA project, the Regional Household Travel Survey. The travel survey is conducted by NOACA every 10 years and helps us shape the future of our area's transportation system. NOACA is striving to reach 9,000 households with this survey, and unfortunately, we're not there yet. We have mailed surveys to nearly 750,000 households in the region. By participating or getting your neighbors and friends to participate, you will ensure that the trails, sidewalks, roads, bridges, and transit services used each day to travel throughout the community are represented in the future transportation investments of NOACA. Since its founding in 1968, NOACA has helped set the region on a course to become the place it is today, a place that is diverse in land use and population, is focused on the economy, and that values its resources, natural and otherwise. We've made a lot of progress over the years, undergoing changes for the better, both as an organization and a region. Last year, we introduced a new logo. This branding was not necessarily representative of a new NOACA, but what an impact it has made as we plan, serve, and connect the stakeholders that make this region strong. This branding was more about changing, evolving, and at the same time, simplifying processes. It was and is indicative of a new and improved NOACA. NOACA wants more people to know about us and more people talking about the region, specifically about how to build partnerships and increase our overall competitive edge for funding on a state and national level. NOACA, NOACA. We are Northeast Ohio's metropolitan planning organization, serving 2.1 million people across 5 counties, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake, Lorain, and Medina counties. I'm glad that Executive Ronayne made you all recognize yourselves by the county. I think you all deserve a round of applause for each of the counties again. And a special thanks to those who come from so far away. We represent 166 cities, villages, and townships in Greater Cleveland. And I'm told that that is more governmental jurisdictions than there are sovereign nations in the world. So how does NOACA help plan for the future of transportation, the environment, and the economy in Northeast Ohio? Our vision statement provides a clear expression of the impact that we aspire to have on the region. NOACA will strengthen regional cohesion, preserve existing infrastructure, and build a sustainable multimodal transportation system to support economic development and enhance the quality of life in Northeast Ohio. Our current portfolio of work is moving the needle on that vision, and all of our initiatives will continue to support equitable growth and strengthen our region. The connections we share as members of a region are important because they strengthen our resolve and ability to improve our quality of life. And I can proudly say that NOACA and this region have had a tremendously successful year in the areas of transportation, the environment, and economic development. First, let's start with economic development. As you probably know, NOACA and its stakeholders completed the development of the region's first ever Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS for short, which is approved by the U.S. Economic Development Administration last year. But we're not resting on our laurels. We need to continue to place our region in the best possible position to take advantage of economic opportunities. And one of the major ways we're doing that is through the establishment of a regional economic development district that will include the 5 counties. We have submitted our application to the federal government, and we are on track to receive the designation within this fiscal year. Connecting funding with the region is what we do. Now, connecting funding with potential economic development projects is what we do too. Next, let's talk about NOACA and the environment. As part of our environmental planning legacy, NOACA addresses the water quality needs of Northeast Ohio. Our water quality program focuses on managing and protecting water resources on 3 levels: on a regional scale, at the watershed level, and within individual communities. Our water quality strategic plan helps guide the program's goals, objectives, and strategies. And in fiscal year 2024, NOACA adopted a 5-year strategic plan update. To help reduce carbon emissions that cause pollution and detrimentally impact air quality, NOACA began installing electric vehicle charging stations in targeted public spaces throughout our region. In all, NOACA is investing $4 million of its congestion mitigation and air quality dollars for the deployment of 73 charging ports across 40 sites, with 21 completed, 7 that are already operational, and another 14 that are installed. So by the end of the month, we will have 21 of them out there in the region, allowing people to be able to charge their cars in public places. As part of the environmental planning legacy, NOACA addresses, NOACA has also received $15 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation to complete a second phase of its EV charging station plan, which will result in 284 charging ports across 111 sites. Through the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program, or CPRG, we are undertaking planning that will enable the region to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve resilience in the face of challenging climate conditions that affect human health and our surroundings. NOACA began regional climate action planning on its own a few years ago. When we started, there was no such thing as national funding programs. The only reward that was offered to us was hope for the planet, which wasn't a bad place to start. Since then, NOACA, with the support of the City of Cleveland, was able to secure a $1 million grant from the U.S. EPA's CPRG program to set the stage. Our elected leaders demonstrated true statesmanship in the support of this regional endeavor, and it paid off. NOACA completed the Preliminary Climate Action Plan, or PCAP, which made us eligible for billions of dollars in Environmental Protection Agency funding. And the region won $129 million from the EPA's CPRG funding program, with a truly regional split of $20 million for the City of Cleveland, $30 million for Cuyahoga County, and $79 million for the City of Painesville to decommission a coal power plant and install solar panels on multiple sites, including brownfields. And again, NOACA was there to connect these partners. And I want to give a special shout out to Lake County Commissioner John Hamercheck for his early vision on this project. And speaking of brownfields, the US EPA granted another $1 million as a supplemental award to NOACA and Vibrant Neo for our Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund, enabling cleanup of more contaminated sites in 12 Northeast Ohio counties. We've also made 3 loans, one to Middleborough Heights for $500,000, one to a private developer for $300,000, and most recently to the City of Akron for $500,000. Through this program, these remediated sites will be primed for redevelopment and return to active use, advancing the Northeast Ohio economy. Last, but certainly not least, is transportation. In fact, this is the majority of the work that we do at NOACA. ENEO 2050, NOACA's long-range plan, is a comprehensive plan that guides Northeast Ohio's major infrastructure investments that register in the billions of dollars. Let's take a look at the progress of a few model programs under NOACA's purview and some of the exciting projects we've begun to work on over the past year. First, we have the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP as it is called. It's the planning tool that we use to implement the long-range plan. It represents a 4-year time frame aligned with the first 4 years of that plan. The TIP contains 400 infrastructure and multimodal transportation projects addressing automobile, bicycle, pedestrian, road, bridge, and public transit needs that will be scheduled for implementation within the 5 counties NOACA serves, and includes $128 million of NOACA funding. We are currently building our next TIP that includes the years 2026 through 2029, which adds another $120 million of NOACA investments to the region. The Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative, or TLCI, as we call it, improves livability in Northeast Ohio's communities by investing in federal transportation funding in local communities. This $2 million annual program contains 2 components, planning and implementation. The planning component supports transportation studies that pave the way, pun intended, for implementation of capital projects, and this past year included progress on 5 implementation projects and the Regional Metro Parks Connectivity Study. As the Regional Metro Parks Connectivity Study moves forward, what a great thought at having the 5 Metro Parks, one for each of the counties, to best connect to each other and, more importantly, connect to their adjacent communities. I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating. $2 million may seem small, but the return on investment in this program represents a 1-to-50 ratio that amounts to $100 million a year. And I'll take that bet over sports betting any day of the week. Street Supplies is a NOACA program that provides a free library of roadway equipment for use by communities to create temporary multimodal improvements. This enables participants in the program to gather meaningful input on a proposed design and evaluate the potential benefits of transportation projects before they become permanent construction. Street Supplies initiatives that were completed during 2024 include 2 City of Lorain projects for enhanced bike lanes with paint and bicycle markings and a decorative street mural. An Ohio City, Inc. and City of Cleveland collaboration for repainted decorative crosswalks, installed curb extensions, and utilized planter boxes. And a Bike Cleveland City of Cleveland project in Cam's Corner. NOACA has a van pool program that offers travel options to connect people with jobs throughout the region. This also helps reduce the region's carbon footprint. Throughout the dedicated work of NOACA staff, the van pool now stands at 48 programs regionally, or van pools regionally, which is almost about a 40% increase over last year. And the beneficiaries are truly region-wide, with many of the employers being in Cuyahoga County and the other 4 counties commuting into the county, and some in reverse, where the employers are in the 4 outlying counties and Cuyahoga County folks commute to them. It's truly a program that benefits the entire region. One final project to get excited about is NOACA's role, along with the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, RTA, Metro Parks, the Port of Cleveland, Canalway Partners, and the National Park Service, in taking a regional effort to extend the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad from its current northern terminus in Independence all the way into downtown Cleveland. This will provide greater Clevelanders with car-free, equitable access to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, one of our region's greatest treasures, which is currently out of reach for many Northeast Ohioans. We have made progress and are more than halfway through a $425,000 feasibility study. When Congress enacted the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, or IIJA, $1.2 trillion of federal money became available. The Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, added another $500 billion. I often joke that NOACA doesn't actually do anything but plan and fund. Now, both of those things are very big and important, but alone won't get us too far down the field. As Chris Ronayne said, we need a team for that, and you are our team. It is you, our communities and stakeholders, that carry the ball. These are your projects before they're considered regional projects. That's right, they're your projects at the local level, then they become an asset to the region. As an MPO, it's our responsibility to bring our fair share of funding to the region for your projects. To better position us to qualify for these dollars, NOACA developed a regional funding strategy which prioritizes and ranks long-range plan projects, then matches them to eligible grant programs. This board-approved strategy leverages NOACA's role as a regional organization and creates a transparent process that reduces competition amongst Northeast Ohio communities for scarce resources while increasing the region's overall chance of success. And we've already reaped the benefits as a region. That's right, Northeast Ohio has been awarded grants from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency totaling over $400 million. Some notable awards are listed on the screen, with projects from replacing railcar fleets, clean EV buses, airport runways, street improvements, port infrastructure, and trail networks, in addition to some general planning projects. All of these and many more projects have something in common: addressing the regional connectivity of our communities. Now, whether we're talking about transportation, the environment, or economic development, another common theme across all three is public engagement. Public engagement and input from the public are major contributors to the work of our organization. Once again, we cannot do it alone. Without our partnerships, we cannot accomplish anything. Through the use of engagement tools strategically, such as digital and static billboards, broadcast media campaigns, digital platforms, and face-to-face public meetings, NOACA has forged an aggressive program that has seen us address over 1,500 public information requests and directly engage in more than 3,100 businesses, organizations, and stakeholders. We've produced 50 combined press-related announcements and alerts, responded to slightly more than 100 media queries, resulting in almost 200 positive mentions of NOACA through various media channels. We have achieved a reach of almost 1 million, with nearly 7 million impressions through our digital platforms. As you can see, we have put our public engagement into overdrive with no plans for pit stops or slowing down anytime soon. And I think I just heard the whistle blow. That's the end of the first half. And now let's prepare for our halftime show. What some might call the highlight of the program. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Northeast Ohio's very own panel of local experts who will discuss how professional sports can positively impact regional cohesion and influence local economic outcomes in our communities. Please get ready to join me in welcoming Jay Crawford of WKYC 3 News, who will be our moderator today. Rachael Stentz-Baugher, Senior VP of Community and Corporate Engagement, Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. Buffy Filippell, President, Teamwork Consulting and founder, Teamwork Online. Bradley Sellers, Mayor of Warrensville Heights and former professional athlete with the Chicago Bulls. And Len Komoroski, Senior Advisor of Rock Entertainment Group and Chairman, Managing Partner of the Lake Erie Crushers Frontier League. Let's get ready to rumble as I pass it over to Jay for the alley-oop to get the discussion started. Note I have my prop. I have come prepared with a stadium bag that is my clear bag, so I'm ready to go. Take it away, Jay.
Grace, thank you. I'm going to take your pass on the alley-oop, and I'm going to throw it to Brad Sellers. He's the only one on this panel that can still dunk. So thank you, Grace, very much, and thank you, everyone. It's great to see all of you in attendance, and hopefully this panel gives some insight on exactly what all of the sports events, both one-offs and professional events that we stage regularly here, mean financially to our area, and I think all of us in here know that it means a great deal. I'll throw questions out. I'll point some of them to individuals, but if any or all of you would like to weigh in on any of the questions, please feel free to do that. And Len, I'll start with you. We've seen in the last decade plus, when LeBron James is a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers, there was something called the LeBronomy, which was the economy around LeBron James. And it was really a phenomenon, there's no question. But we don't have that luxury anymore. What is the difference, not just between one player being here and not, but success of our pro sports teams and them not doing so well? What does that mean financially to our area?
Well, I would say this, Jay. First of all, I think there's a perception that maybe there's been a significant drop-off since LeBron left. And when he left, each time we went through a significant rebuilding period. In fact, in one period, we had the least amount of wins over a 5-year period in the NBA overall in going through that process. But I will tell you, from an overall economic impact and in terms of actual metrics and numbers, that the actual impact was not discernibly or dramatically different. So when you look at, as we were going through our transformation process with former county executive Budish, and remember the first meeting we had was with, one of the first sessions was with the outside advisor for the county at that point, financial advisor, Tim Oftermatt, who was one of the stewards of the Gateway Project. And he sat down with us and he goes, do you know that the Rocket Mortgage, then Quicken Loans Arena, is the largest driver of economic activity of any venue in Cuyahoga County? And when you look at the numbers, like even this past year, $61.9 million in state and local taxes, $1.1 billion since the inception of the arena in '94, $177 million in direct spending, $3.6 billion since the inception, and $322 million of total output, with $6.6 billion of total output since inception. And people think about the field house in terms of the Cavs, but Cavs represent about 23% of event activity, 175 plus events, ticketed events, 1,400 private events, 2,500 full and part-time jobs. It's an economic engine. And so holistically, yes, it may be measured in, but even during those times, our attendance was still in the 18,000 to 19,000 range, as opposed to the 19,432 now. So it's people. This is a sports town. People love their sports. We've seen that with the support with the Browns during some tough times. So there is I would say the LeBronomy effect with that certainly helps, and we can talk a little bit further about the international impact that creates. But it's something that really we've seen here with all the teams, Guardians, Cavs, and Browns, has been just sustained impact, high or low, on or off the field, court, or turf.
Anyone else like to weigh in on any of Len's comments or anything further?
No.
I know Brad knows what the economic impact of sporting events can be on a community. And Len, you're absolutely right. Cleveland is absolutely a sports town, and it's great to see that really all of our franchises are in positions to be relevant, and that's what you want, because obviously when the team is relevant in the standings, it creates more interest, it brings more folks to the venues, and that all ultimately spurs spending. Rachael, first of all, it's been a pleasure working with you on a number of events. Your team is incredible at the Sports Commission. It's one after another. The hits just keep coming with you guys. Most recently, it was the senior games, which generated a lot of interest. Mm-hmm. I'm always fascinated when I see numbers, and we'll see them, and we already have for the Special Olympics that your crew is working on for 2030. I'm always interested how those numbers come about, and because you've had an opportunity to give so many estimates, and then afterwards add up the receipts, yep. How accurate are those estimates, and what impact do those dollars that come to our community and stay here ultimately have on Northeast Ohio?
Sure. Thank you so much, Jay. It's been a pleasure to work with you as well. The team at the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission is really committed to driving tourism through sports. I mean, bottom line, that's what we do. We want to host events in Cleveland so people travel here and spend money. We also get other effects from that, television viewers and things. Maybe my mic needs to be here. Television viewership and community investment and things like that come from these events as well. Also, bringing people to Cleveland for the first time for an event often gets them interested in coming back. So there's a lot of reasons why we really love drawing people to Cleveland. But the question you asked was about economic impact and how the estimates we make on the front end, are they accurate to what we see on the back end? The answer is sometimes. It depends, A good example is, I have two great examples. The NFL draft that we hosted in 2021, that was anticipated to be a much higher economic impact, but the pandemic had happened. And so we did everything that we could to make that event spectacular, and we did with our partners at the Browns and the city and others. It was a $42 million economic impact, which is nothing to turn your nose up at, but it was supposed to be double that. On the flip side, you've got the NBA All-Star Game, which was just the following year. It was the 75th anniversary, and the NBA really went all in. The Cavaliers went all in. Sports Commission, we all came together to make that a really fantastic event with so many fingers into the community in terms of extra events and impact and things like that. And so that ended up being 131, I think it was, 133 million economic impact, whereas it had been estimated much lower. So it really just depends. Those numbers are based on the number of people we anticipate traveling into the city, how many nights they're staying, how big is the party they're coming with. So with youth sports, you've got lots and lots of people that come with youth sports participants. It depends on their anticipated socioeconomic level. Folks for the NBA All-Star Game are very different than youth sport families, things like that. Sure. And so those dollars are calculated based on surveys and then extrapolated. That money goes to tips to your servers in the restaurants. It's the bill you pay at the restaurant. It's admissions fee at the Rock Hall. It's your ticket price and admissions tax at whatever game you're going to. Money goes directly into the economy, and then the taxes that are paid on that money goes straight into the general funds for the city and the county. And that's how we, make a case for ourselves in that, the investment that folks make into the Sports Commission comes back 10, 20-fold. Since 2000, we've been responsible for hosting over 260 events, nearing $1 billion in economic impact. Wow. That's incredible. So that's what we do, and that's why, and that's how those numbers are generated.
Very interesting. Brad, as mayor of Warrensville Heights, a city that's outside of Cleveland, but close enough where you might see some of the reverberations of these economic events that come to Cleveland and spill money into our area. What does it mean to your community when a big event comes to our area?
Well, let's start here because Jay, you know, we try to connect the dots. As I see many mayors and elected officials in the audience, I think we understand the impact that it has in each individual community. These events, a lot of people that are staffing these events or working these events, they live in your community, right? These people rely on those dollars to make sure that their households run on time, right? So there's an impact there. Now, we have a mega event that comes out, Women's Final Four. Hotels in Warrensville and in that sector, they're filled out there, right? And so what that relates to is the people that stay there, in your hotel bill, there's something called a hotel bed tax that you'll pay. That tax goes to that individual community. That community takes those dollars and allows us to buy ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, repair some of your roads here. It all is all part and parcel. Let me be clear. This region, Cleveland and the surrounding communities, we're all connected at the hip. We are. And to be able to sit here and have 3 major professional sport franchises in a town of this size is a luxury. Now, it is what we do with that luxury to allow us, and I say us, the public to benefit. This is where the connecting of the dots really comes along. And if we do it correctly, the benefit will really be realized by the people that live in your communities, work in your communities, and it just really becomes a wholesome thing. And sports is just the equalizer, because even in bad times, you got some bad going on. Sunday, on football Sunday, we all turn it on, unless you're a Michigan person. We're turning on the Buckeyes on Saturday, and then we're going to the Browns on Sunday.
Yeah. Buffy, to Brad's point, many of these events that come here offer employment opportunities for a lot of people.
Right.
And that's your area of expertise. And that spreads out far beyond Cleveland, because those folks, as I'm sure Rachael can attest, and we all experience, they come from all the different communities.
Right.
Talk about the impact that those jobs, both permanent with some of the professional sports teams and the temporary jobs for these events that come here for a short period of time, that can have an impact in terms of employment.
Well, first of all, just to tell you a little bit about Teamwork Online, if those of you haven't been aware, this is our 25th anniversary for Teamwork Online. Rachael was an online hire. Len was an online hire. And so what's fascinating, starting a business here in Cleveland, first of all, that has almost 85% of all of the sports jobs that are out there. So can you consider that everyone who has applied for jobs in the sports across the country all had to go through Cleveland to be able to get their job, which is kind of interesting. So that's been fantastic for us. And the opportunities with these teams to grow the number of job opportunities. I mean, when you started, there might have been about 50, 60, some people, and now there are 300 positions, and then there are another part-time positions. So this is just expands, the sports really do expand the economic opportunity, but as well the number of positions. And what you look at, as I said, all of us are actually not from Cleveland, and we have now made our home here in Cleveland. So think that many of these people that we are drawing in, if we're drawing them in, are staying here and developing in their communities. So it's a terrific opportunity to draw a good number of people, have all these jobs open. So we'll fill probably 100 positions just in one event, right? So,
wow.
Can I speak to that
Absolutely.
quick? Yeah. So as you mentioned, we hosted the Pan American Masters Games this year in 2024. We've been working on that event. I served as the executive director, so I can tell you very intimately how hard we worked on that event. But you know, the Sports Commission staff is 15 people. So that's what we have year in and year out. For this event, we hired an additional 35 people to work on that event. 2 of them worked for 2 years, 8 of them worked for a full year, and the other 25 were interns that worked for 3 months. That is important to us for a few different reasons. Number one, we consider it an investment in young talent, especially with the interns. We throw them in. We give them a lot of responsibility, and we take a lot of pride in our interns and the network that we now have of interns around the country. Our internship program that we run through Teamwork, we have over 400 interns, intern alumni all around the country from all different states. And these are now people that are in our network. They're our family members. And then the staff that worked for us, having a contract position, I've had those before. It can be challenging when it ends, but when you're in it, I mean, the network that these folks make, the contributions they give us, the ability to bring in temporary talent is a real opportunity for us, and we're glad to have that chance. So that's just one example.
If I can just add this will give a context here, because Jan Shoup, you may have heard her name. So Jan was honored as 8 over 80 in cranes, and she's been there forever. Well, she started out at the old Cleveland Arena back in, I guess, 70. Nick Milletti. Wow. And so you had Bill Fitch, who really was almost like the team president. He was a coach, but he was a general manager. He sort of ran everything. You had Jan Shoup, you had John Graham doing the books, and they had a PR person. They really literally have like 5 people running that whole place. Now, just even over the field house, you have 500 full-time team members, not to mention the thousands of part-time team members. So Buffy's point about how the industry has grown, it's grown a little bit.
Well, additionally, we've got Baldwin Wallace has been a big partner in sport management program, but then Cleveland State has reinstated their sport management program under Jim Kaler, and it has just gotten much bigger. So the talent, I know Rachael used a number of those students for that particular program. We use them at the Browns, we use them at the Cavaliers. So it's educationally, we're even adding to this talent pool, and the schools are responding.
And those are people that will likely go on and become professionals,
yes,
and may end up in Washington, D.C., they may end up in New York, but the one thing that I love about the program, and I've met many of the interns and had conversations with them, these opportunities that are provided to these students, you can't buy that opportunity.
Right.
It's almost more valuable than the experience and the education that they're getting, because it's real life practical experience. And when these people leave our community and go work in other communities as professionals, they're actually like paid plants that we spend all around the country to spread the word of what Cleveland, Ohio is, and all of the great things that are going on here. And I hear it all the time, which is fantastic.
And oftentimes they like to come back.
They certainly like to come back. There isn't a day that goes by that I'm not asked, so do you want the stadium in downtown or do you want it in Brook Park? And my answer to that is, I certainly don't want it to leave Cleveland, the area. And that's obviously what all of us are most interested in. And we know that that's not going to happen. But there is a lot at stake for communities in terms of if the team stays downtown or if it moves to Brook Park. The one good thing is those dollars will still remain in Northeast Ohio, but open to anyone or no one, because I certainly understand it. How do we see this shift of dollars playing out?
Oh, Jay, why are you looking at me?
Because we talked about this before the program.
All right, so let me be full and transparent and clear. Along my NBA travels, I played for a team in Seattle, the Seattle Supersonics. And the Supersonics, if you know NBA basketball, are no longer in Seattle. What happened there was, which many of these communities that have NBA franchises, NFL franchises, MLB franchises, you come to a crossroads here between public good and personal belief. What happened, the Sonics, who no longer are in Seattle, got into a dispute about the arena that they had been playing in. It's the Key Arena. They had outgrown Key Arena. That's all they knew. It was time for a new arena. There was a public posture taken here by the Sonics, by the city of Seattle, against the Sonics, figuring that the community was not putting in on any structure going forward. Anything had to be done by the organization. No one thought it would get to that level where the Sonics would, who, if you know Seattle, was a storied franchise in Seattle, has an immersed history in Seattle. It got to a point where public figures took a line in the sand against the organization. It turned real ugly real quick, And if you know anything about the NBA, the Sonics are now they're in Oklahoma. They're the Oklahoma City Thunder. The city of Seattle has regretted that decision ever since. And it never had to get there. And it's not just against what I was talking about, the team and the organization. You think about all the people that are employed there. And get away from the people. What about the businesses that invest around there, the employees that reside around there? The city itself was getting that sales tax money from around there, which goes back to repair your roads, hire your police, do the little things that you don't see, because everything that's paid for by a city does not come from the city, it comes from another pot. That's why we're here with NOACA, because you're talking about, Jay, your potential moving of a facility. Well, how are you going to get to the facility?
That's a great question.
Are there exits there? Who's going to police the facility? Are you going to a community that's smaller now? And are they going to do it? Or is the county sheriff going to have to do it, right? These are the thoughts. That's what I say when we're all connected at the hip. The left hand better be talking to the right hand. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you that, don't get too cute with it, right? Because you get real cute with it, people take a position. And this is not the time for position. And I'm looking at my good friend, Council President Blaine Griffin. He knows what I'm talking about here. Like, so we have to work together. But I don't want to think the team organization or the city leaders, county leaders, the municipal mayors that are out here, we're all connected at the hip, right? That's where you're going, right? And so people have to have an understanding. If you lose, you could really lose. Because if you don't think there's another city out here that wants the Browns, you're fooling yourself. There are many out here hoping for a collapse here, right? And say, well, you okay, you still got the Cavs and the Guardians, right? You take away that Sunday thrill around here and see what kind of pushback you get here. Now, myself, I tell my own kids, I'm gonna die a Browns fan. I'm gonna go to a Super Bowl. I'm not going to one until they go, right? And even when they go, I'm not going to the game, I'm just going to the party. Because if you remember the Cavs party, which we were a part of, unbelievable, right? This is where we are, but this are real things here. So I don't want you to be too hard on city administration, or the county administration, or the Browns. It's a real problem now because back in the day, you could pay the salaries off of probably ticket sales, some TV revenue, and some other things that come along, the TV deals. That's not possible now. You need other sources. People who are investing in these teams, they want to make money on their investment. And don't tell me like, well, I lose every year, I take a loss every year, and I'll get mine ultimately at the end if the franchise sells for more. That's not what they're doing here, right? So again, as long as everybody understands the conceptual rules of the game, you can make progress here.
You know, just put this out there. We're, as Buffy noted, we're not. My wife Denise and I are from Pittsburgh, and the one thing though that we really learned here is how Cleveland was a leader on the national forefront. What I mean by that, the Gateway Project right now is considered the forerunner of the modern urban redevelopment project anchored by sports facilities. Mm-hmm. So as our friend Tom Yablonsky used to say, the executive director of the historic Gateway District for many years, he called the Gateway District the area of the greatest disinvestment in the city of Cleveland. So back pre-Gateway, it was a series of surface parking lots. They had no hotels, no commercial business activity, no residential, and 4 eateries, which was code for you were open for lunch. And that was it. And now, largest residential district in the city of Cleveland, 9 hotels, including the largest concentration of historic hotels in the country in an area, over 80 restaurants open, many commercial businesses, and much more happening, billions of dollars in investment. And that was because, and at that point, if you recall, the Indians, then Indians, now Guardians, were on the verge of leaving, and the Cavaliers played in a cornfield in Richfield.
I was there.
And that was, and what's happened, it's now, and that's what economic impact and what sports facilities do, is they create, if you don't have a healthy core, If you don't have a healthy core to your region, you won't have a healthy region. And in essence, what that does, it creates a sense of place, a sense of impact. It brings people to an area. And then I think as Mayor noted here, so we were fortunate enough, obviously, to win the championship in 2016, but we had the largest sports celebration in NBA history, 1.3 billion people leaving their cars on the highway, wanting to be part of it, and the 6th largest sports celebration of all time.
12-hour parade.
But the other part of this, too, is what this represents. It's not just about economic impact in terms of dollars and cents, but so for those finals and NBA broadcasts, it was broadcast to 215 countries and territories. In China alone, 300 million people were watching the NBA finals. And what did they see? You know, so have you ever heard the term interstitials, right? And that's going in and out of a broadcast. And so if you watch a national broadcast, say from the field house, you're going to see a shot of the Rock Hall. You're going to see a shot of Playhouse Square. You're going to see Public Square. You're going to see the lakefront. See all these beauty shots. And we had people coming in, international media, saying, wow, Cleveland looks like it's a phenomenal city. Right. And you can't buy that. You can't buy that type of advertising and like. So it really is holistic in what it does. And then also to bring together, and I'll just add one last thing. And so David Gilbert, Rachel's team lead, I guess you want to put it that way. When I was the chair of Destination Cleveland back with David back in the day, and Rachael, you remember this, but we started measuring how Clevelanders felt about Cleveland. And when we started measuring with what Longwoods International, whatever, they measured, and we found out that 32% of Clevelanders would recommend Cleveland to a friend or to someone as a place to have a convention, to live or work or play. We were dead last, I think, of the top 50 markets.
That's not good.
Not good. So a healthy market would be in the 60s, and a high performer would be in the 80s, right? So, but by the time we got, this was like 2012, I think the first measurement. By 2016, and we had made progress, but we had been surged all the way up into the high 60s relative to how people would recommend. I mean, more than doubled it. And the largest attributions were to the Cavs winning the NBA championship and the fact that we successfully pulled off the Republican National Convention. Because you remember, people were predicting Armageddon. And I remember the Washington Post had a headline. We went to Cleveland for a funeral. We came away with, it was basically a love letter. Came away loving Cleveland. In fact, the DNC was in Philadelphia, and they talked about the people, the media who were dreading to come here didn't want to leave, and they were tweeting about, we wish we were back in Cleveland. So this is how these holistically work together to help relative to our self-image, how we feel about our community, our sense of pride, and how that all holistically comes together. And again, it starts with that sports team at the epicenter to be able to make things happen.
So after 2016, the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, we're a small nonprofit. We don't host these events for our own benefit. We host them purely for the reasons Len just mentioned. And so we had an initiative called Velocity, and it was intended to carry on the momentum that Len is talking about from 2012 through 2016. And you may know, we were successful in partnering with with the city, the county, and our local sports teams. We hosted the 2019 MLB All-Star Game, the 2021 NFL Draft, the 2022 NBA All-Star Game, and the 2024 Women's Final Four. That's what Len's talking about. It's creating this this groundswell of passion and energy in Cleveland, and we do that by not only hosting great events here, but also getting on TV and having those beauty shots and having people talking about Cleveland all the time. So we love working with these partners. The theme is connectivity, and I laughed when I saw the panel because I was like, well, we're all connected. We all already knew each other, and that's the point, right? So, very exciting how we were able to continue that momentum. In terms of the stadium, I'll just tell you a couple things about truths. The Sports Commission's job is to fill the stadium wherever it is. So we are always in touch with the local venues. We bring event ideas all the time, and the availability and accessibility and connection, or if they have what the event needs, then it works, and we make it happen. We'll fill whatever facility we have. It would be great if it had a roof. But other than that, we will fill it wherever it is. We also do get a lot of positive comments about the walkability of our city. I'll leave it at that. We get a lot of comments about that.
And I'll just say this, it is really about civic pride. You sit around here, the best ambassadors we have for Cleveland and surrounding Cleveland are people that live here, that are from here, that understands what it means to be here, because we go out and when you travel, we sell that to people. And you have to understand that other people, some people don't know what Cleveland is. I'll just give you a quick short story. In my days in Chicago with the Bulls, as we traveled around, flying around to every city, there were 2 Clevelanders on that team, myself and Charles Oakley, who's from John Hay High School, and I'm from Warrensville. And what would happen was, I don't know, every time we would fly back into Cleveland, it would be cloudy and gray here. And Jordan would start from the beginning, like, oh, Lord, we're going into Cleveland here. So then that would turn the other guys on to Cleveland. There were 2 people, Jay, that stood up on those flights and said, we're going to stop the blasphemy. You're not going to be talking about Cleveland in here, right? We're going to stop that here, right? We're the advocates for the place. Anybody in here is an advocate for the place, right? Now, what we will do here, as we always do, try to make good decisions, what's in the best interest of this community, but it's just not about a venue. It is how you leverage those investments through other investments. So you talk about where the Brown Stadium here. So there was a bill of goods sold to people around here to come and reinvest in this community and set up your shop here. That's why we just invested $50 million, Armin, and in this facility, redoing this facility here, right? And Chris knows this as well. We've made some investments here, right? We cannot undermine ourselves just for an opportunity. We have to work strategically, because this same question will come up again at some point. We may not be here, but there's not a franchise here that does not see that. I played in, if you've been to the old Chicago Stadium, it was on the west side of Chicago. It was a very, very tough area. They made the move to demolish Chicago Stadium and build the United Center, where you just saw the DNC convention at. I dare you to go there to look at the neighborhood around there now, because they made other investments in there, so it would revitalize the neighborhood. So you have more opportunities here than just venues, right? We can move together collectively.
And Jay, if I can just add to this, I think to your point, Cleveland, Brook Park, the key thing is the Browns stay here, and they're going to make a huge impact wherever they are. And I just want to give a shout out to our Lorain County folk here. We have the Crushers now in Lorain County, and my wife and I, Denise, always wanted to have a minor league baseball team, and we were very fortunate the opportunity came here. But the thing that's always been a big part for us is how we have a responsibility in sports with what we do to lift our communities. I mean, dry cleaning, does anybody have a dry cleanership here? So, dry cleaning is a very admirable profession, makes an impact, but doesn't have what we have in terms of a platform to bring communities together and to make an impact beyond just what goes on the field, ice, turf, whatever the case may be. And we take that responsibility seriously. So we've had the team this year, we got it in March. And so at our facility, if you drive 90 and you're going west on 90, you can't miss it. You can throw a baseball and hit it right in Avon. And we'll have 165 events there this year. So 165 events where we're created a holiday event that's going to take place from Thanksgiving to January 4th. We're working with the partner who hosts Oktoberfest here, the #1 Oktoberfest in the country, in Dingus Day. And beyond that, we'll have 100,000 people just for that. But we are a platform to bring people to Lorain County as well, and that is an engine. We don't have an arena in Lorain County. We don't have a convention center. So we're on our campus alone. We take that responsibility very seriously, as do all the teams and the sports commission in town, because that's what it's about, is bringing people together, and you're generating economic impact, a sense of place, a sense of purpose, a sense of who we are, and a pride in our overall community, while also helping lift people as well.
I'd like to just add that this is a competitive environment. As much as Rachael is saying we're bringing all of these events, think that all of these other cities are bringing them too. We just got back from Indianapolis, for example, that raised about $30-some million to bring the NBA All-Star Game there and the Olympic trials, swimming trials in Lucas Oil Stadium. And amazing amount of economic impact for the city of Indianapolis. So you've got Houston, that's one of their greatest sports commissions that are out there that actually has management of some of the facilities down there. To be able to bring these events, I mean, for this 15-person staff that you have, to be able to bring some of these events is massive. But it's because we have first-class events, we have first-class facilities, and we have people in these teams that are very supportive of building around their facilities. So yes, we're talking about a lot of great things of Cleveland. Recognize that we are in a very competitive race out there.
I'll echo some of Len's thoughts with a quick story of my pride in Cleveland and how powerful it can be. For 16 years at ESPN, I was the Cleveland mascot. Everywhere I went at ESPN, or Jay,
We're all mad.
they, you know, he's got to root for the Indians and the Browns and the poor fella. And I would, wherever I would go, tell everybody how great Cleveland is. I did that for 16 years. My daughter was George Stephanopoulos' producer at Good Morning America for 8 years. And she said, Dad, why does Cleveland, she went to school in Columbia, she grew up in the Northeast. She said, why does Cleveland have such a bad rep nationally? And I said, it's just ignorance. It's misinformation, or it's not doing research, and it goes back to an old joke from the 70s. And she would she wasn't from here, never lived here, but her parents were born here. So she learned of Cleveland pride from us, and when she visited, she loved it. So in the build-up to the entire ABC newsroom for a year, she bragged about how much you're going to love Cleveland for the RNC. You are going to love it. And everybody thought, have you ever been there? But she continued to sing the praises of Cleveland, Ohio. I did my whole time at ESPN. I've never been more proud of my city than I was in 2016, because the national media on the political end came here, and you're exactly right, Len. Everyone that left with the idea of what a hidden gem. Cleveland was remarkable. We put on a party. Then they came here in May and June for the NBA championships, the sports media community. And then they came back in October for the Major League Baseball playoffs and World Series. If I had $1 to invest in Cleveland for every time I heard from one of my colleagues at ESPN, oh my God, you were right. This place is incredible. Everyone that came here had a remarkable time and had nothing but good things to say when they went back to their communities, wherever they were from, to come here to cover our events. And that's a testament to all of you in this room and all of the political figures in the city and everybody that was involved in rolling out our red carpet for the country to come here and see firsthand what we have going on here. I'll wrap up with one quick question as we're on this theme of Cleveland pride. I know, Rachael, that you really get in the weeds when it comes to what Cleveland has to offer compared to, say, Nashville, who will also be in the bidding process for the 2030 Special Olympics. We beat a lot of world-class cities for a lot of these events. Take your Cleveland hat off for a second and talk about how we compare with other cities, Houston, Atlanta, all of these great cities in the United States that want these events. How do you sell Cleveland, and what's different and great about us to bring these events here?
Sure, so that feels like a softball question because the answer is our connectivity and our partnerships. We don't have a lot of things that some of those other cities have, but what we do have is, David Gilbert and his network and our board and our relationships and our reputation and our ability to get things done. So, other cities say, I don't know if we can do it. Well, David Gilbert's already thought about 10 different ways we can do it, and he's already called Len about it. So, we have a fantastic reputation and really, really strong partnerships and a history of success, and that's really why we win. I also mentioned walkability. The size of our city is awesome. I know sometimes, we wish to be bigger, and certainly for a lot of reasons we wish that, but when people come here for events, the entire city is the event, and they love that. Whereas when you go to a bigger city like Chicago or even Nashville, there's so much going on that you might miss the thing that you're there for. When events come here, they rent out the whole city, and they love that. So.
Yeah, I'm smiling because the walkability is a huge thing. People being able to you can get from Progressive Field down to the Brown Stadium in 10 minutes, right? Cover one end of the stadium. In fact, tonight it's going to be crazy. We'll have Billy Joel and Rod Stewart. We'll have Nicki Minaj, and the Tampa Bay Rays are in town. So it's going to be something down here, wild down here. But the other thing, just to add, that differentiates us, which is an opportunity as we go forward. I know we're working so hard on our lakefront, but when we had the finals, and I remember we have 600 international media come in for the finals, coming from all over. And they hear Cleveland, is near a lake or whatever, and so their perception is it's like Akron, right? You can drive there and it's right there. And I just remember this one Scottish reporter goes, he sees that Cleveland's right on the lake. He goes, "That's not a lake, that's an ocean." They expect you're going to see the other side. It's a great lake. We're on a great lake, and we're right there, right in the heart of downtown. You could walk everywhere, and we have so much to offer, and that you just can't recreate that in other cities. So.
Well, I came here in 1978 from Chicago and London, and I haven't left. So the affordability of this particular city has been great for recruiting, right? Because people have been able to get incredibly wonderful houses, and the communities, great schools. So that's been outstanding. And look, we've got New Jersey and we've got Pittsburgh here for sure, that we've been able to stay forever. So thanks.
Good.
That's what I think our draw is too.
Yeah. So I'll just say this as a guy who grew up here and left and lived in some great places. For me, was coming back home because it's where I was from. I traded in the traffic from Chicago for being able to get around here in 20 minutes. Right, it's enjoyable here. We have an opportunity here, as always, and I just know collectively when we move together collectively, we'll do what's in the best interest of the group. Because I think everybody flies the flag here. You may have some disagreements on points of direction at times, but in the end, this community always comes together for the right reasons. And I just have to end by saying this: I just heard Lynn just roll off the concerts in town. I'm gonna ask Lynn, you going to the Nicki Minaj concert too?
We're gonna be we're gonna hit Billy Joel tonight.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's more age appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up too, Len, because I know that it's one night, but not many cities can offer that kind of entertainment and that diversity of entertainment. Nicki Minaj, Rod Stewart, Billy Joel, and a playoff team whose magic number sits at 12.
Right.
Right.
It really is a testament for how everybody works together here, and everybody in this room should be applauded for that. Buffy, thank you. Len, incredible. Mayor, always good to see you.
My friend.
Rachel, wonderful comments. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good stuff.
Thank you very much to you, Jay, as well as Rachel, Buffy, Mayor Sellers, and Len for providing your individual thoughts and input into this holy team effort. It truly does take everyone doing their part in executing the game plan to achieve success, and you all proved that today. Let's give them another round of applause. So next are the awards. One of the highlights of the annual meeting is bestowing of awards. The first one is the Walter F. Ehrenfeld Jr. Award for Outstanding Regional Contribution, which we affectionately call the Wally Award. It was named after Walter Ehrenfeld Jr., the beloved longtime mayor of Strongsville and former NOACA board member. We've given this award since 2004 and are pleased to have several past recipients here today. Please stand as I call your name. Cuyahoga County Executive Ronayne, he's the 2010 recipient. Dan Troy, former Lake County Commissioner and current State of Ohio House Representative for District 23, was the 2011 recipient. Howard Mayer, my predecessor, the former Executive Director of NOACA, was the 2012 recipient. Valerie McCall, the former Chief of Government, International Affairs, and Communications for the City of Cleveland, was the 2015 recipient, and Armin Budish, the former Cuyahoga County Executive, was the 22 recipient. And finally, Lake County Commissioner John Hamercheck, the 2023 recipient, who will present this year's Ehrenfeld Award. Please welcome Lake County Commissioner John Hamercheck.
I am delighted to announce the winner of this year's Ehrenfeld Award, as it is someone who embodies and lives the concept of easy for me to say, almost choked on my cough drop, good heavens, lives the concept of regional contribution. Please join me in congratulating this year's winner, Grace Gallucci. Congratulations, Grace. Congratulations. Grace has led NOACA since July of 2012 and has done more than anyone I know to promote collaboration, cooperation, and continuous improvement in Northeast Ohio. She has worked collaboratively and cooperatively with multi-jurisdictional agencies such as the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, the Ohio Department of Transportation, and the Ohio Turnpike and Infrastructure Commission, as well as the 5 counties NOACA serves, countless suburban municipalities, and rural townships and villages. Grace has had the vision and drive to pursue and support such initiatives as developing the region's first comprehensive economic development strategy, the SEDS, securing funding for brownfields remediation, stabilizing the Irishtown Bend, developing a regional climate action plan, and countless other projects. The person who nominated Grace for the award wrote, "Grace has tirelessly fought to uphold NOACA's vision to strengthen regional cohesion, preserve existing infrastructure, and build a sustainable multimodal transportation system to support economic development and enhance quality of life in Northeast Ohio. She has done this oftentimes under intense political pressure." The writer then cites how Grace submitted testimony opposing House Bill 23, which would require a highway interchange to be built at Boston Road on the Brunswick-Strongsville border, and how Grace testified in support of repeal bills HB 276 and SB 155. The writer then praised Grace's efforts among the intensity of political pressure, especially as a woman in a field largely dominated by men. Grace has always been a strong advocate for regional collaboration. She has fought to uphold the mission of why NOACA was created in the first place, championing the idea that these kinds of decisions should be made and driven by data through a transparent process and arrived at via a collaborative, regional, consensus-building approach. The writer is grateful to have a leader who will fight for what is right, not what is easy, and we should too. For these reasons, and many more, I am honored to present the 2024 Walter F. Ehrenfeld Jr. Award for Regional Contribution to Grace Gallucci. Congratulations again, Grace. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm overcome with both joy and emotion. I'm very humbled by this award, particularly because the nominator was just an ordinary citizen who knows of NOACA and knows of the work that we do. That just means the world to me, and I want to thank all of the judges as well, many of them who are the prior award winners, so that also means the world to me. Thank you very much for your support and your confidence, and let's move on to the rest of the program. Thank you.
And you're going to get a handshake before I go. Well done.
Thank you.
It's down here.
Thank you. And now it is my privilege to award the Jackson Leadership Award. This award is named in honor of former Cleveland Mayor Frank G. Jackson and is bestowed upon a mayor who has used their leadership skills to serve their community steadfastly and faithfully and have contributed to the success of NOACA, especially ensuring equitable distribution of funding throughout the region. This year's recipient is the Honorable Annette M. Blackwell, the Mayor of Maple Heights.
Wow, thank you so much. And for those of you who sat through this program, we're almost done. I am extremely honored to be here today. I am just so honored to receive this prestigious award, named after the Honorable Cleveland Mayor Frank G. Jackson, a long-serving and distinguished mayor. It is especially heartfelt to be chosen for this award by my peers and colleagues. Thank you all. I did not begin my career in elected office, and I had not been in public service until I ran and won the office of mayor of the city of Maple Heights 9 years ago. This work has required the best of me and all of me: collaboration, good partnerships, continuous education, resilience, and faith. My family, my impressive and dedicated administrative personnel, and the people of Maple Heights have brought me to this recognition today. And to all of them, I am extremely grateful. And for so many people in this room, and you all know who you are, who have helped me along the way and been a part of the many great things happening in the city of Maple Heights, which is a city that's found its way back. Thank you so much. I am indeed so honored and so grateful. Have a great day.
So this brings our program to an end. Thank you to the moderator and panelists of our halftime show for your interesting and enlightening conversation. Was that not a terrific halftime show? We do have it all in Cleveland. I want to thank our sponsors again for making this event turn out so well. We could not have done it without you. I also want to recognize the NOACA staff who planned and carried out this event: Danielle Render, Gail Godick, Stephanie Balasik, Antoine Geary, and Kate Menning, and the NOACA volunteer staff. Please join me in applauding their efforts. And last but not least, thank you to all of you, our attentive and gracious guests. This concludes the 2024 NOACA annual meeting. Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you.